Time now for weather with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist and Market Journal Chief Meteorologist Al Dutcher. Al, it's been another week of hot temperatures. Hey, what can you say? It's August. How's this next week shaping up?
Yes, Troy, it has been a hot week, particularly across western Nebraska. We've finally seen that heat build into eastern Nebraska as the ridge to the west started to expand into our region. And in the way of major precipitation across the state, we've had scattered places, but we are needing some good overall precipitation. And unfortunately, this forecast does not look very promising. The heat will stay with us at least till the end of next week before we start to see cooler temperatures and a chance for more widespread precipitation. So let's get to the upper air models and see what we can expect through the 7-day period. As you can see from this morning's models, the upper air pattern shows high pressure over the four corners and the front side of that ridge over eastern Nebraska. That's responsible for that piece of energy moving around the front side of the ridge and bringing some scattered showers to northeastern Nebraska. Overall, most of the area is going to remain dry. That heat's going to build in. We're looking at mid to upper 90s across the west, low to mid 90s across the east. And by tomorrow, we start to see that high pressure expand even farther toward the east. We're going to see the same kind of pattern out west, maybe even a low 100 degree reading. And in the east, we're going to be consistently in the low to mid 90s with most of the moisture staying to our east. By Monday, the ridge really expands, and we may actually see some more widespread 100-degree readings out west and some upper 90s, possibly across parts of south central Nebraska. Low pressure at the surface develops in eastern Montana, but as you can see, there's no moisture to bring in northward, so we're going to be dry. And then on Tuesday, we start to see a trough pushing in the Pacific Northwest. That's going to start to try to flatten that ridge out somewhat. We should maybe see our temperatures cool a degree or two, but overall, we're still going to be looking under hot and dry conditions. No precipitation in sight at this point in time. And by the time we get to Wednesday, we now start to see that piece of energy from the Pacific Northwest moving across the northern plains, and that should start to cool temperatures down somewhat as we see low pressure at the surface developing in South Dakota. Not a big fetch of moisture from the Gulf, so most of the major precipitation will be over the central Rockies and the northern plains. But as we get into Thursday, the ridge starts to back off toward the southwest, and some energy will flow around that ridge toward northern and northeastern Nebraska, slightly cooling our temperatures back to near normal conditions in that region, mid to upper 80s, but still hot to the west and southwest back into the 90s. But we do see some precipitation trying to break out in the west. And then on Friday, we even see a more flattening of that ridge as more energy starts to come into the Pacific Northwest, creating a zonal flow. Low pressure starts to develop in southwest Kansas, so we'll see some concentrated precipitation in the Rockies. It looks like some of that moisture will finally make its way out into the plains as we get into next weekend with even cooler temperatures ahead. We look to the 8 to 14-day forecast, and we'll notice that that low pressure system starts to develop more intensely over the northern plains, bringing cold air into our region. And in terms of precipitation from next Thursday to the following Tuesday, at least a semblance of normal to maybe even above normal precipitation for our state. So Troy, overall, hot conditions will continue through the end of next week before we cool down with increasing chances of precipitation. Crops are definitely going to suffer this coming week.